So, end of financial year, beginning of a new financial year. When did that happen? Um, yeah, 2024, 2025 financial year. So as per usual, we are getting our salary guide ready to send out, and it's been a very interesting exercise. Taylor and I just spoke about it this morning, just in relation to where we see salary increases and how the different areas are increasing and where it's increasing. It's not necessarily, oh yeah, that makes sense. It was a little bit of a, oh, that's interesting.
It's
Taylor,
quite
you
a
looked at
large
the
increase.
financial side a little bit more, like the finance area,
Mm.
um, and you found about the WA area that's just increasing.
Yeah, which is surprising given the
Mm,
stats from last year to this year. WA has increased quite a lot, like almost matching New South Wales,
mm,
which is crazy to think. But once you do think about it, you've got all of those mining companies and everything over
yeah.
there, which would then increase the salaries. Which yeah, that was a bit shocking to me.
Mm,
But even like regional salaries as well. There's not a huge big gap now that well,
no.
from what we've seen between
Yes.
regional and city. Obviously, there is a slight gap, but in some of your areas that you've been looking at, Suki, there's it's higher. Regional
Yes,
salaries are higher.
exactly. And that was very surprising to me that our salary guide is not broken down in regional and city, but just the research that we've done, looking at the different salaries around Australia. Regional salaries in some areas are actually higher than the city areas, which are the metropolitan areas, which I was very surprised by. Um, and then when I was thinking, like, why would that be? I think there's a few reasons, but maybe we're now seeing the effect of a lot of professionals moving away from the cities and moving into the regional areas. And that's just uplifted the salaries in those areas. Across the board in technology, literally from first level help desk right through to CTO, CIO level, there's been an increase at the upper end, sometimes at the lower end when you're looking at the scale, but there's a lot of, and it's minimum $10,000 per annum that's increased, which is also interesting because salaries have definitely, COVID pushed salaries up, and there was definitely an increase in salaries. It felt like it normalized a little bit. It plateaued, but it seems to be creeping up again.
Yeah.
And WA is definitely standing out on the technology side as well as quite a big area where things are increasing.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting, just looking at the figures and the granular side of things, and then just reading a bit more. Are what we or is what we're experiencing correct? Is the trend that we're seeing correct? I did a bit of research with the Tech Council of Australia, and they're predicting that there will be a need for another 600,000 technology people by 2030. Um, and there's not enough people in Australia to fill those roles, which is awesome. But now it's again looking at what's the pipeline, what do we need to put in place to make sure that gap can be filled, even if it's not 600,000, if it's 400,000,
Yeah.
200,000, that's a big number in one sector.
Yeah.
So
And
that was interesting too.
I found it really interesting as well as the growth in the finance industry, or the tech industry, sorry. The finance and accounting industry is it's increasing as well. So they're expecting a 9.2% increase by 2026, which is roughly around 212,000 people.
And then from there, the crossover between the finance and the technology side is becoming, I mean, there's
Yep.
always been a crossover. You're a
Yeah.
technical person working in finance systems, but there's a lot of new tech coming in as well.
Yeah, the CPA, like those stats are from the CPA, and they said the industry is experience rapid digitization.
Yes.
So we will need new skill sets, new jobs,
Mm,
people crossing over from the tech into the finance industry,
yeah.
vice versa. So
Yeah.
that's pretty exciting with what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to move pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So
it's all really exciting. It's scary to think that it's actually moving pretty fast,
mm,
uh, but it's all exciting stuff that's happening, and it's a positive sentiment. Although in the market at the moment, it feels like it's just holding a little bit, but pretty normal. End of financial year, new budgets. What are we doing with the projects? What's happening with the economy in terms of interest rates? So I think people are just a little bit cautious again, but there's there's a lot of positive in the market.
yeah, interesting enough too. So unemployment rate has gone up
Mm,
as well.
mm.
So for I'm a bit shocked at that stat
Yeah,
given where the market's at the moment and everything's moving ahead. But yeah, the ABS stats, so unemployment rate has gone from 3.9 to 4%.
mm,
And then employment to population ratio is at 61.4,
yeah,
64.1%,
yeah,
which is very interesting.
yeah.
And the average weekly earning, I was shocked by this, has gone from $1,300 to $1,888 per week, which is a 4.5% median salary increase over the
Sure.
last 12 months.
And that's across Australia.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
wow.
that's why we're seeing so like that growth within both industries across board on all salaries. So even with the accounting side, we're seeing $5,000 to $10,000 increases across, I would say, 98% of the roles.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that there's an increase on the weekly salary, but you also have to account for inflation, which sits at
Yeah.
about 3%. So that's an interesting stat. I read up just about what the tech trends are and what the predictions are, where the focus will be from a technical perspective, moving in what directions it's moving. AI, no surprise
It's
there.
inevitable.
That's always been the case. Cyber security, very much so. That's number two. And that's interesting because that's also reflected in the salaries. Those salaries have gone up. There's definitely a bigger demand for guys with those skill sets. It's very specialized skill set as well. And then quantum and space is
Oh,
one that they're predicting as well, which is very interesting. So yes, those are the three areas that's getting a lot of attention. Obviously, with AI being at the forefront of
yeah.
that. What did you say to me the other day, Taylor? I don't know what we did without ChatGPT. I remember thinking that when mobile phones came in, I'm like, I don't know how I lived without a mobile phone. So that's where ChatGPT sits at the moment. So
Mhm.
we'll be releasing our salary guide. It'll
Yeah.
be on our website, so please feel free to go have a look if you want to download that or have a chat.
Yeah.
Just see where your salary sits. Um, it's I think it's in line with what we're experiencing and have been experiencing the last few months of this year. And 2024-25, I think is going to be pretty exciting.
100%.